you sort of get used to it after a while that they do come in those pairs. So part of what we do with this, and the reason why we're filming this, is we want to make these videos of what we do to a guitar available with each guitar we sell. Not just to prove the work that's gone into it, because in some ways people don't really care what's gone into it as long as it plays well and they like it, but perhaps more from the perspective of providing an interesting document showing what happened to your guitar, the guitar that you're now playing and enjoying, but also one that hopefully takes you through some stuff step by step, so that next time you want to make an alteration you might feel confident to do it, or next time you want to buy another guitar you might have some better idea, if it seems to have problems, or you might pick it up and you might like the look of this thing, and then you might play it and you might hear a buzzing fret, you might think, ah, okay, and know what that problem probably is, and better yet, you can think, actually I might be able to solve it. So Thomas, you found...
Yeah, that is awful.
Is it just on that end again?
I don't know, I haven't gone over this fret completely.
Again, if you've got a run of them that seem to be only high at the edges, it might be showing you that what's happened is that it's been badly fitted. That they've not been, or that the bend on the fret itself, because when you put frets into a guitar, not that I've done it, but seen it done, when you cut the frets, you have to pre-bend them on a special machine with a setting to put a certain amount of bend for the guitar you're doing. I think a Stratocaster guitar like this has a radius, which is the degree of bend, has a neck radius, a fingerboard radius of something like 7.25. So you set that in your machine and you feed this fret wire into it, and the bending machine bends, kind of squeezes the wire as it goes through to that ratio, and then you cut it off. And if they got it slightly wrong, then you might find frets springing up seeming to spring up at the end, because they might be, in a sense, the wrong radius. They might be for let me think, what would it be? A flatter guitar, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm going to illustrate it with this pencil. So if that's the radius of our actual neck, and if the frets had a shallower radius than that, less bend, what will happen is when you put that fret with its shallow radius onto a thing with more of a curve, you'll find that will probably sit okay in the middle when you press it down, but this would naturally sit up at each end slightly because it's not the right radius, it's not bent, it's not the right curve. That might be something if you went down this and found pretty much all those edges all the way down the neck were sitting out slightly high. Or maybe not. Because actually if you had several more of them in a row, they should actually cancel each other out. Looking at this, right, I bet you, because you've got that one there,
yeah,
right, I'll bet you, I'll wager you, you can take it off afterwards, I'll wager you
that mirror each other, yeah.
That mirrors the next one there, because I reckon that's probably got a bit in there as well.
Mm.
So as we head through to this, Thomas gets close to the really scary bit where he could wreck it all as we start to carve away with our quite nasty sandpaper. This is 320. We do have some even harsher stuff. A roll of 240 here.
Oh, Prophet Sam, you were correct.
Aha! Now, double check that one. I bet you got a bit high fret there. Just because there's something about that symmetry that keeps happening. No?
No.
Okay. So I'm not going to move this camera too much because it's got a big microphone thing stuck in the side. But you can see for this we don't need a massive amount of tools. We do need the fret rocker. We need some different grades of sandpaper. Once we've done the levelling bit and rechecking, marking up if we've got a new problem, and then working on that with the sandpaper. Once we've done the levelling, we then have to crown the, I'm looking for another piece of paper, we then have to crown the fret because, no good, I should bring some paper in here.
Probably be a good idea.
Yeah, well, I'll do it on the back of sandpaper for now, but it's going to be a bit naff. They're very, very small drawings. So here in my little drawing, so if that's the fret looked at from the side, it's the fret profile is a piece of wire with a nice smooth curve on it, and when we take down a high spot, we're basically grinding the top of that off, and what we get left with is a flat spot, and we really don't want that flat spot on top. We want to reshape that fret. I'll draw some dotted lines to kind of show what ideally we want it to be. We want to reshape it without taking it any lower, because if we take it any lower we'll create more problems. So you can see my little dotted line there. The idea is we need to work on this a little bit so that by reshaping it we take off the sharp top, but we don't want to go any lower. So even if you can see reshaped, the height here at the very top where the string will eventually rest in our reshaped version is still exactly the same height as in our crudely flattened version that we start off with in a minute. So you don't lose any more height, and that's the critical thing in here, is to reshape this, taking these little bits off the side without losing any more height. And to do that, we're going to, there are a number of, again, very expensive tools you can buy, but we're going to, Thomas is going to learn how to do it with a fairly straightforward old-fashioned tool, and it's a three-edged file with one of the corners ground smooth, so we can work it onto the, we can use it on the fretboard with masking tape without cutting through and damaging the fretboard. And so, I'm trying to think of what can I use as an example. So if there's our fret and we've cut a flat piece on top, what we're going to do is we're going to put this fret, this file up next to it, and we're going to just work the edges of it so that we don't take any more off the top, but we just round it off to meet the top, and we do it on both sides. And there's a convenient way we can do that using the marker again. So we're going to have two goes of the marker. First time we're going to take it off by using the sandpaper, and then once we've got the frets at the right height and taken all the high bits off, we're going to remark them, because that then will become a guide to let us know that we're leaving a little bit left on top. So we can just work on the sides and then stop, leave a little thin line, and that will be the aim. Leave a little thin line, meaning that when we see a little black line of marker when we're reprofiling these frets, we know, it tells us that we haven't scraped any more off the top, which means we've got exactly the right height still.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. And that bit's, of all parts of this process, that bit Thomas is doing there is quite logical. This bit's the bit that takes practice. And if you're nervous about doing it, find somebody who's got a guitar that's broken, or buy a second-hand neck that's knackered, or find an old guitar. Could even be an old acoustic guitar, anything with metal frets. Find one of those and have a go, and you can duplicate this process. So you could draw some permanent marker on top, and you could just try gently filing the side of the fret and leaving a little thin strip on the top. And the more you do that, the better you'll get at it. I've got it to a place, I've done it maybe only about 10 times myself, but I feel reasonably confident now to do it without damaging the top of the fret anymore. Do you need a shorter edge?
Fine.
You're still all right?
But I keep getting that, and then
Yeah.
the next time I go over it, I can't find it again.
Yeah. So remember, just refocus at where am I? You're on this middle fret, yeah?
Yeah.
If it's so tiny you can barely feel it, it's hardly worth worrying about. So you can move on until it comes back at a level that you can really feel it.
So that's what I was getting. Yeah.
Okay, remember your green pencil is your friend, because that's the one that's going to be permanent throughout this job. I'll give it a bit of a sharpen now.
Yeah, that's probably.
Goes to doorway. One of the things I learned, Thomas, about doing this is that when it comes to uploading the video that goes with the guitar, I have to remember to take it to London and do it from there. Because it took 3 days to upload the one for the Squier Strat. Yeah, it took 3 days to upload down here because we're in the West Country and we don't have the fastest broadband.
Yes, we practically live in the field if you couldn't hear the tractor out in the field.
You probably can hear the tractor buzzing away in the field. Okay. So in terms of sequences, what we'll do is once Thomas has finished that, we'll go over and mark up all the frets again. Then Thomas will have a go at taking a bit off the frets, and we'll double check and then do all the fret leveling.
The pencil.
Pencil, just put it down. It's
in
underneath the neck.
Oh, right.
Yeah, then we'll then do the crowning or profiling the frets. And once we've done that, we'll have frets with the high bits taken down. They'll be roughly the right shape profile, so that we know that we can then start to use various grades of sandpaper over the top of this masking tape to start to sand out any of the file marks, because the files will leave, even this 320 sandpaper and this kind of file will leave some quite sharp gouges, and they will really mess up, well not mess up, but they'll make bending strings feel horrible. So our job then is to take the file marks out of the frets and to polish them, ultimately end up polishing them with our Dremel, which we've got hanging up over there, and a bit of polishing. And that's the payoff part of this. When you get to that and you just run that Dremel over it, and the frets come up kind of with this sparkling chrome looking shine, you know you finished the job, and it's really pleasing. And once we've done all that, the paint repairs to the body I'm going to leave to dry for quite a bit of time now. But they're now dry to the touch, and what we think we'll do to complete this video is we'll put, if we get to do it today, we'll put the neck back on, put the saddles back on, the bridge saddles which I took off to clean, and we will restring it and get ready to do the setup part of it, because I think we can set it up and test it and then leave me to worry about polishing the bodywork later, because we can do that with the strings on, as long as we're just careful to not get them mucky. And then once all of that's done, that's pretty much the whole setup. In fact, we'll have done more to this guitar than probably the other two before it, because with those we really didn't do much with bodywork. It didn't have as many chips and knocks as this one.
Good thing about it though is it's all simple stuff. It's nothing too complicated.
Yeah.
hence why I'm able to do it now.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
but it does make a big difference.
Yeah, it does. And the thing is, and this is the challenge for anybody who's I suppose, starting out in playing guitar, is the problem is you don't know it's fairly simple. And I certainly didn't. And I was just thinking now, thinking back, I probably only started tweaking any of my guitars about 6 months ago, when I made that one from a kit. And until then, I'd had that, for example, that Squier Japanese Strat. I'd had it for 30 odd years, and I've never really tweaked anything on it, or even, I mean, I changed the pickup, the scratch plate, the scratch guard colour, and things like that. But I never did anything like this to improve it. And the simple reason is I just didn't think I could, because this seems I mean, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know it could make it so much better. We done?
Yep.
Cool. So I didn't do anything with it for 30 years, and since then I have, which is cool. Okay, so I'll just show this to the world's viewers. So Thomas has got a whole bunch of, just focusing on the green bits. Yeah, there's some things,
symmetrical.
Some kind of mirror images of each other. There's quite a few at the top end, and not so many near the middle, which probably means that if you're playing open chords on this, you wouldn't notice any buzzes too much, especially if the action's higher. But up here, trying to play notes, you probably would.
Yeah.
The beauty of this is the guitar might have played quite nicely without doing this, right? Especially since we straighten the neck. But this gives you the opportunity to take the action much, much lower. So a guitar, most of the guitars have these. Any guitar you buy in the shop or in a box or whatever probably has as many defects in the fret heights as this.
Yeah.
The reality is that the action is probably set so high that you don't notice any of those. But what you'd find is if you wanted to take the action down to something you really were comfortable with, it's then all of those errors start to show up. So we're taking them away so that you have range.
Yeah, so that you can change the...
You've got free range on the action. Okay, so I am going to... It's clear you knew what you were doing with that. So here's the next bit. We're going to mark up these once again, just so we can see it a little bit easier. Again, bearing in mind